Hi everyone, Roxanne here from financerocks.com. I help people to pay off debt, learn to budget, and save more money. And today I want to talk about confidence. Is confidence important for your finances? I think it is, and that's why I'm going to share 3 ways to increase your confidence that will help you to save and make more money. Confidence is really important for increasing income. Asking for a raise requires a lot of confidence, or applying for a job that maybe you don't feel qualified for, but that would be higher paying. If you're confident, maybe you go to more networking events, you can have a bigger, healthier network because you're not shying away from those interactions and building those relationships because you feel unsure of yourself. Having confidence can also help us decrease our expenses. For one, it helps us to do our own thing. When we have confidence in ourselves and our decisions, it's a little easier to say no to things that maybe society expects us to spend money on, like fancy house, fancy car, fancy clothes, fancy makeup, all those things. Having confidence in ourselves helps us to say no, maybe when we're invited to do something that isn't in our budget. So my journey with confidence has definitely been U-shaped. I was a very confident kid, actually. I felt like I made friends pretty easily, felt like I was smart and capable. And then middle school hit. And I don't know about you, but my looks changed, and not for the better. It was a horrifying time by my calculation. And it was more than just that. Becoming more self-aware, realizing that I was different from my friends when it came to like socioeconomic backgrounds. And so having insecurity around that really hit around that time. And it's taken, honestly, until about now for my confidence to build back up after that. When you first get your job and you don't feel confident, you feel like you have to prove yourself and prove what you're capable of. I certainly suffered from that for several years. So over that time, I've learned a few tips to increase confidence, and I wanted to share those with you today. The first is to identify your strengths and weaknesses. So let me tell you a little story. I went to a Chicago Cubs game with my best girlfriend, and it was for her 30th birthday. And we were traveling back and we had gotten bored, and I had just the thing for getting bored, which was one of those printed lists of questions that you can ask each other, kind of like for car rides and that kind of thing. I pulled that out, and one of the questions on there was, what are my strengths and weaknesses? So I asked my friend this, and the very first thing she said was she thought that I was organized. And that surprised me. So I asked her to explain herself because I consider that a weakness of mine. And she pointed out that I had printed off and brought with me all of the information for our flights and our hotel, and even directions to and from. She mentioned that I very rarely am late or miss times that we had planned to meet up, where some people, get disorganized and are unable to make it to things on time. So that made me realize that I spend a lot of time thinking about organization. I just assume that everybody spends that much time thinking about it. I have a handwritten calendar where I keep all my notes. I have multiple journals and notebooks, and even though I rush around all the time feeling disorganized, it certainly is something that, just because I'm not as organized as I'd like to be, I didn't consider myself to be organized. Really, that is one of the things that I'm better at. It can be really hard to identify our strengths. So one of the questions that I would ask is, what things come naturally to me? What things are easy for me? And what things do I naturally gravitate to and spend a lot of time on? That would have helped me to pick out organization as one of those things. And I know a lot of people that when I say, oh, I think this is your strength, they will say, oh no, I don't, that's easy. Everyone thinks that's easy. Anybody can do it. If you catch yourself saying that, that's a good indicator that that is a strength of yours, because nothing is easy to everybody. So if it's something is easy to you, it's very likely that that is very difficult for somebody else. It's sometimes hard for me to remember that with cutting back spending and being frugal, that it doesn't come easily to everybody, even though I feel like it comes easily to me. So thinking about those things that come easily to you can help you identify those strengths. The other side of this, identifying your weaknesses. People don't like to do this because it can be painful. And I understand that. I certainly have things that I'd rather not face about myself. As far as identifying weaknesses, I'd say do your confidence question first and really lean into that and really feel good about those. I feel like that almost gives you permission to have weaknesses, and it makes having weaknesses not seem so bad. The truth is that everybody has weaknesses. There's nothing wrong with that. We just need to be honest with ourselves as far as what those are. If you find yourself saying things like, I try too hard, that classic explanation at job interviews, those are ones that are a little bit like, I don't know, I feel like a little bit surface level as far as like actual weaknesses. Like, I'm a control freak, or I have anger issues, I struggle with forgiving people. I encourage you to try to find those things that are really difficult to face, because those are going to be the true weaknesses that you have. Once you identify your strengths and weaknesses, then you can decide if you are going to work on improving them, if you're going to find workarounds, like ways to minimize your weaknesses or ways to enhance your strengths. But just that awareness of it is the first step in really increasing your confidence. Number 2 is to remove faux confidence. I find that when people lack confidence in an internal sense, they tend to seek it in an external sense. So this is like wanting a really fancy car so that you feel confident when you're out and about, so that you feel good about yourself. It's things like wearing a lot of makeup, so because you feel like you're hiding the way that you look. And certainly some people just like those things, and it doesn't have to do with building your external confidence. It can be things like wearing expensive clothes, like expensive name brand clothes or designer labels, if that's what they're called. I like to experiment with stripping away these levels of exterior confidence, and that helps build up the interior confidence. Now, this kind of ties into the whole get outside of your comfort zone kind of deal. Put yourself in situations that you're not used to, or things that are difficult for you, and that helps build your confidence. So this is kind of like that. I have on occasion gone without makeup, and I'm not wearing a whole lot right now, but it is a little bit painful for me. My eyelashes are blonde naturally. So when I don't wear makeup, people will come up to me and be like, Rox, are you sick? You look sick. Is everything okay? And I'm like, oh yeah, I feel fine. And then by the end of the day, those first few times that I did it, I realized like, oh, I didn't die. It was fine. I know that I don't need makeup in order to go out into the world and do my thing. I no longer have that need for that external confidence. I'm fine with just my face. And then clothes. So I actually got this tip from my money mentor, Jillian, at Montana Money Adventures and the Everyday Courage podcast. So if you guys don't follow Jillian, you should go and check her out, because she is awesome. And she gave me this tip one time to increase your confidence, to wear a goofy outfit out in public. And so I did this. I actually dressed up one night for a arts and crafts show that is in my hometown. I dressed up goofy for this. It was goofy leggings and a goofy top, and if I can get the image in, I'll add it here so that you can see. And it was embarrassing, to be honest. I was walking around, I felt like people were staring at me. I hadn't realized that I was using clothes in a way to build my external confidence until I switched and had the clothes that didn't look that good together. Not to spoil it or anything, but there's going to be 1 or 2 people that come up to you and tell you that they like your outfit. Some people are goofy like that. But I found that that really helped too, to increase my confidence. So every once in a while, I'll wear a wacky outfit combination. So that's another way that you strip aside that external confidence, and then as a result, your internal confidence grows. Third tip that I have for you today is to create rules for yourself that support your most confident version of yourself. Thinking about the kind of confidence that you want to have, ask yourself, what kinds of things do they do? Break that down into like mini versions, and then make those as rules for yourself. An example is when I go to an event by myself, my instinct is to sit in the very back seat, in the very back row, as far from the speaker as possible, not talk to anybody, try not to be noticed or seen, And that's my instinct when I go to something. So one of my internal rules for myself is that if I go to a thing by myself, I have to sit in the front row or in a seat near the speaker. This forces me to go up, and I've had a lot of really good experiences. Like, a lot of the times you'll get to talk to the person afterwards because you're just kind of nearby. So as everybody starts mingling and chatting afterwards, you're kind of in a prime spot to actually talk to the person that was presenting. And so I've learned a lot from those experiences. I go to women entrepreneur events sometimes, and so I've gotten a lot of benefit out of that. And you almost get one-on-one coaching if you go to things sometimes and sit near the front. So I think that's a perk as well. Other rules that you might set for yourself would be things like, I am going to ask at least one question at every meeting that I'm at. Or it might be things like, I am going to go up to 2 people that I don't know and get their business card and have a conversation with them. Whatever you wouldn't normally do that you'd like to do, and just start doing those things and make it a rule for yourself. And I kind of have to force myself to do it, but it's good practice. So that's all I have for you today. Identify your strengths and weaknesses, strip down external confidence, and create rules for yourself to be more confident. And I'm confident that if you try these things, your confidence will be increased. Until next time, I hope your finances rock.